A couple of weeks ago, I was at a 5-year-old's birthday party. This particular party was at one of those indoor play areas with a labyrinth of maze to climb through, a giant slide, and lots of squishy obstacles to explore. And I admit that most of the time I sat parked with the other grown-ups and adults having conversation, but at one point in the party, my 4-year-old daughter asked me to go and climb and slide with her, and so off I went. I climbed the foam bridge, climbed up the stairs, weaved through the obstacles, and we were on our way to the giant slide. Our last obstacle before the giant slide was a net bridge. When we got there was a bit of a line, and so we paused, and it didn't take us long to figure out what the holdup was. On the other side of the bridge were a brother and sister waiting for their little sister to cross the bridge. She looked like she was around 2 years old, and she was holding tightly to the net on the side of the wall, trying to balance her way across the net. She was struggling and having trouble. You see, she didn't know that she wasn't really in any danger at all. Just underneath the net was a solid floor for her to walk across. But she didn't know that, and she was struggling, and in all of her resources and her abilities and her capacities, whatever you want to label it, she was not going to be able to cross the bridge alone. So after we waited for a little bit and saw the struggle that was happening, I bent over and I asked her, "Can I help you?" And I was expecting for her to maybe let me grab her hand and walk her across the bridge and just get her safely to the other side. But what she did honestly surprised me and impacted me so much. She let go of the net wall, turned around, and lifted up her arms to me, waiting for me to pick her up and carry her across. So without thinking too much, that's what I did. I stooped down, picked her up, carried her a few steps across the bridge, placed her down safely with her brother and sister. And within seconds, they had grabbed hands with each other and slid down together down the big slide. Here's what I know to be true. In that moment, I was a total stranger to the little girl. Yet she looked at me and she decided that I was safe. She decided that I was able to help her and that I would help her. She trusted me. This is the kind of faith that Jesus talked about when he spoke of having a childlike faith. In Matthew 18, the disciples came to Jesus and they asked him, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And do you know what Jesus told them? He called a little child to them, and this is what he said. "Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like a little child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child, they can enter the kingdom of heaven." When you look to Jesus, do you believe that he is good? Do you trust that he's safe? Do you believe that he wants to help you and that he's able to help you? Do you trust him with childlike faith? Whatever the challenge is before you right now, are you struggling through trying to hold on to your own abilities and persevering your own resources and your own strength? Or are you clinging on, trying to hold tight to the situation and persevere in your own power? You can let go and turn to Jesus and trust him to be there and help you. Here's what is true. God hasn't placed before you a circumstance that is impossible, no matter how much it appears that way to you. He isn't off on the sidelines, disengaged, or too busy. He is present and he is with you. Greatness in God's eyes is not persevering in your own power and your own might. Greatness in the kingdom of heaven is changing and becoming like a little child. You can turn to Jesus and trust that he is safe, he is good, he is willing to help you, and he is able to do so. Choose today to have faith like a child.